What's good, everybody? It's John. Come back at you another video. So this video is going to be all about confidence and belief, and with this video I'm going to explain to you guys why confidence and belief is everything. Now, before we jump in this video, I just do want to apologize in advance because in case there's any background noise, and long story short, basically right outside of my window right here is a parking lot, but in that parking lot they essentially constructed a few facilities, and at least for the past 2 years I would say the facilities were there, but now the construction workers are there taking it down. So if you hear any background, I do apologize. Now obviously with the power of video editing I'm going to minimize that, but just want to give you guys the heads up in case you hear anything. Right, with this video, confidence and belief is everything. And the reason why confidence belief is everything is because confidence and belief is what effectively created everything around us. Now, of course, you have to use your imagination as well, but ideally the confidence and belief to pursue something and to make it happen, and to have trust in yourself and belief that something's going to work out, that is effectively like the power that we have as people. It's like willpower, right? That is what helped shape the world. Now let me give you guys a few examples to help crystallize this, right? How different do you think your life would be if Bill Gates had never invented the computer, right? Like if right now we just never had any computers, right? Or if Steve Jobs never invented the MacBook or the iPhone, right? How different do you think it'll be, right? Like, of course, we all remember how life was before the iPhone, right? You had your flip phones, you had your sidekicks, you had, your Motorola Razors, right? We had those type of phones, but the iPhone, from my memory, was probably the first ever like touchscreen phone, and because of that, ever since that moment, right, that has become the norm, and pretty much everyone has iPhones now, right? These inventions shaped reality and shaped the world forever. How different do you think that would be if we didn't have that, right? How different do you think your life would be if we still didn't have any computers, or if we still didn't have the internet? The reason why I'm saying all these things is because the people and the men who created these inventions and really made these things possible, these were the people that had confidence and belief in themselves that it will work out, that they will find a solution, that they will make it happen. And I'm saying all this because I want you to operate with that same faith and belief in yourself, right? It's easy for someone's belief to waver when they don't see results, or when they don't see in the physical world, the real world, what they have envisioned in their mind. But it takes a truly exceptional person to still have confidence to keep going, to have belief to keep going, to still persist until they find the solution, until they make it happen, right? And this is for all things, for all areas, right? I believe it was the Wright brothers. These were the pair of brothers who invented the very first like airplane, and they were the first people to ever take flight. Just imagine how much they were ridiculed when they had the idea of wanting to fly, right? They were probably, I don't actually know the story, but it could be that they were probably children and they would see birds fly, and they fantasized about how amazing it would be if we as humans had the ability to fly, right? I'm sure everyone as a child always thought that to themselves. How cool would it be if we had the power to fly, right? But now in today's age, right, we can experience that. We obviously can catch flights to travel to different parts of the world. We can get on helicopters. We can do all these amazing things because it was the Wright brothers that had the idea to fly, and they were the ones who to be the first one to invent the airplane, the first people to ever fly. Before they invented the airplane, just imagine how much they were ridiculed for it, for their idea, because they were thinking of something that they wanted to do that everyone else said was impossible, right? So of course, I'm sure everyone called them crazy. I'm sure everyone called them delusional. I'm sure everyone called them names, everything you could think of was on the bus, until they figured it out. And then when they figured it out, right, all of a sudden, right, magically, it was no longer crazy anymore, right? It was no longer crazy. Why? Because people could now see with their own eyes that it was possible. And it helped shape the world today, right? Because of flight, not only are people able to travel right? It helps bolster like the different economies of all the countries around the world, but now became easier to also transport goods because then we don't have to just depend on moving goods through the sea through boats, right? You can now transport things through the sky, and it has affected everything. It has changed, completely changed the entire trajectory of mankind as a whole, right? And that is because of their confidence and belief. So I say all this, like I want you to think of like all the other like important areas of your life that was significantly improved or changed because of someone's invention, right? Even Amazon. Everyone loves ordering online now, right? Because Amazon, you can order your essentials, right? You don't have to go outside and shop for toothpaste or deodorant because typically you stick with the same brand. For a lot of people, they typically stick with the same brand and they can just go on Amazon and order it. And then 2 days later, the package is going to be there, right? It saves them time and effort. And a lot of people love online shopping, right? Imagine how different your life would be if you really enjoy online shopping. Imagine how different your life would be without it, right? Maybe as a child you didn't have online shopping. You remember having to go to the store to buy everything, right? You can see how much your life has changed because of these things. Why? Because someone out there had an idea. They had something in their mind with their imagination of what they wanted to create that could benefit the world. And they had confidence and belief in themselves to work at it and execute until it was created. I I think about this with sports as well, right? Just imagine if some of the greatest athletes, because for a lot of people, they receive inspiration and motivation from athletes from sports, right? Because in a lot of ways, sports serve as, I guess you could say, sort of like a metaphor to life, right? Like obviously, there's people you can't win all the time in sports, which for a lot of people they believe that they can't always win in life, and in sports you have to sacrifice a lot and work at it and get better and improve until one day hopefully you have the chance to win. And when you win it all, right? For a lot of athletes, they play the sport their entire life, and so the moment they can finally win and become world champion, it's extremely emotional, right? And fans love that. Fans gravitate towards sports for that reason, for that competition element, and for that the will and the desire to win. I just think about like sports and think about like imagine how different sports would be if we never had those all-time greats, right? Those all-time great athletes. Like if we never had a Michael Jordan or LeBron James, right? How different would the game of basketball be? Or if there wasn't a Messi or a Ronaldo for soccer, how different would that be, right? Like if at any slight adversity or bump that everyone just gave up, if everyone just gave up, then how, if everyone was conditioned to simply give up at any bump or like any obstacle that they face, how different do you think the world would be? The world would not be the way it is. It's only the way it is because of the people that have confidence and belief in what they're doing and what they're creating, and they're operating with will to get it done by any means, right? And I want you to think about all these things, think about all the inventions that help shape your reality, and just remember that there was someone out there that had to believe in themselves to make it possible, to create something for the first time or to improve on something, right? And I want you to have that same confidence and belief in yourself and in what you do as well, right? Because you might be starting off, like say you enjoy cooking and you want to start your own business or your own restaurant, right? You need to have confidence and belief that you are going to be successful, that everything is going to work out. And even if you aren't receiving evidence of that, or if anything, you're receiving counter evidence, and that is okay because you're still collecting experience, you're still collecting data on areas that you can grow and improve, right? You might want to be a cook, but you may not be very good right now, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're never going to get better. That doesn't mean you're never going to be good, right? Like you might just need experience and you might just need to improve, but that's okay. If you have confidence and belief, then that means you are eventually going to keep going until you win. It's no different when in YouTube as well. There's a lot of people that are afraid to get started with creating content because they'll look at the landscape and say, oh my God, it's so saturated because there are millions of content creators. Well, if everyone had that same mentality of everything being saturated, right? Of there being so many people already on the platform, then no one would get started. right? Or if, let's just say, YouTube was created as a platform, but then everyone just believed that it wouldn't be possible to succeed, then there would actually be no successful content creators, and then the platform will fail, right? Like, you see how it's typically because of someone's confidence and belief that is what ultimately makes whatever it is that they're going after happen. Whatever it is that they have in their mind and their imagination, that is how they're able to bring it to the surface when they have confidence and belief in what they're doing. Like, the best example, of course, that I can give is the example with the Wright brothers when they invented the airplane. It was absolutely unheard of, right? Because we didn't have wings. We weren't born with wings, right? It was unheard of for a human to ever fly, right? They said it was impossible. They said, how could it be done because of gravity, right? How could, right? It just didn't make sense. It was just impossible in the eyes of everyone except for the Wright brothers. And so because they were able to invent the airplane, look how it has shaped society and the world. Because you're watching the video, and chances are, if you're watching the video, you've taken a flight before somewhere, right? So what they've created directly impacted and affected your life, and you were able to reap the benefits of that. Now imagine if they were too scared, or they lacked the confidence or the belief in themselves, and said, and they just gave up and they say, you know what, everyone's right, it's impossible. We will be living a completely different life in a completely different world right now. This is how it all works. A lot of times when something is not seen or something has not been invented before, it's normal for people to say it's impossible. It's normal for people to say that can't happen, that won't happen, because there's a lot of doubters and a lot of naysayers. But what you need to understand is everything is possible. Everything is impossible until it gets done, right? In actuality, obviously, everything is possible. But in the eyes and the mind of most people, they'll think that something is impossible until it's done. Right? I'm sure people used to think when we used to all have, flip phones, and I'm sure people used to think that it was impossible to be able to get a touchscreen phone, to be able to get a phone that just has one button, right? When the iPhone first came out, it had a touchscreen, and then it just had one button, like that square button at the bottom, right? And people used to think it was impossible to do that. But then it became possible because of touchscreen. So the touchscreen has all the buttons there that you need. And the square button, the circle button at the bottom is to go back home, right? And then people thought, oh, well, it would be impossible to have a phone without any buttons. And then now we have iPhones without any buttons. Like, the only buttons on the side, if you will, are just the volume button and the on and off button, right? But it doesn't have any actual buttons to do anything else. Why? Because everything is touchscreen. All these things are unheard of. I'm sure people thought it was unheard of to invent a cell phone, to invent a telephone, the cell phone, right? Telephone, the television, right? Like, for most people, it's like, how do you explain that? How do you explain being in a train station, in a subway, and being able to take a phone call and speak with someone? How can you explain speaking to someone on the other side of the world, or being able to FaceTime someone across the entire globe, or be able to turn on your TV and then screen, like, images appear out of thin air? Most people can't explain it, right? But they don't question it anymore because it exists right now, because they see it. But I'm sure they would have thought that it was impossible back then, before it was created, right? So don't be discouraged if people say, oh, something is impossible or something can't be done, because at the end of the day, it's always going to sound silly. It's always going to sound impossible. It's always going to seem like it can't be done until it gets done, right? And I'm sure in many sports, people would think it's impossible for someone to win the championship multiple times, until someone goes out and wins the championship multiple times. Then all of a sudden people realize that it is possible. You just have to be really, really, really good. This is with everything. I'm sure people thought back then that it would be impossible to be a millionaire or a billionaire, or it would be impossible to be, for anything in the world, anything in society, right? People would think if you're doing something new or creating something for the first time, whatever, people are going to think it's not possible or is impossible. But you need to have the confidence and belief to push yourself forward. It's just that simple, right? I remember, like, it was a story like with Jay-Z. Early on in his rap career, he was speaking with his uncle, and it was one time he told his uncle that he was gonna sell 1 million records, and his uncle at that time, it was unheard of for anyone to do, and his uncle doubted him. And it's not because like he didn't want to support him, it's just like he didn't think that it would be possible for anyone to do it, let alone his own family member Jay-Z. And it sounded crazy at the time because it was unheard of. It was probably something that hasn't been done at all, or hasn't been done many times. And then what does Jay-Z say now? He said, I done sold 1 million records like 1 million times, right? It was unheard of to do back then, and now he's done it so many times that it's no surprise that he expects that to now be the norm. Why? Because he had confidence and belief in himself that he could do it even when no one else believed him or when no one else seen it. That is how you're able to tap into your greatness and make something happen, right? You need to believe in yourself. Even if right now you are in a position where, let's just say, right, you're similar in my shoes, right? As you're watching video, let's say you have 100 subscribers or maybe less or around that number, whatever, who cares? But your goal and your dream is to be one of the largest creators on the platform. You have to view and see yourself as already being in that position of being at the very top. Because if you believe that you're at the very top, then you're going to be operating as though you're already at the very top. So you're going to be doing the things that the person at the very top is doing, right? And that's what's going to ultimately help you get there, right? Reality is eventually going to catch up. If you want to be at 1 million subscribers and right now you're at 100 and you're treating it like you're at 100 subscribers, then you're probably going to be timid. You're probably going to be worried, concerned. You're probably not going to try as hard. You'll probably post 1 video a month, right? You won't take it as serious as someone who's already there, as someone who's already won. This is how it all works. You have to have confidence and belief in yourself and your abilities before everyone else does, because that is how you create the things that you want to create. That is how you create the life that you want to live and have. It boils down to that, because your confidence and your belief is what's going to propel you forward. It's what's going to push you past any sort of obstacle, any sort of adversity. You're going to look at that and laugh and then continue doing what you're doing, because you know that as long as you remain committed and you work towards it, you are going to win. There's no if, there's no maybe, there's no probably that it will happen. So you just have to keep at it, right? And then everyone is going to say it's impossible. You can have your goals, your dreams, and aspirations. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say it's not possible because they don't think it's possible for them to do it. They're projecting their insecurities onto you. And they're going to say it's impossible. They're going to say, oh, it can't be done, blah, 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 until it gets done. Then all of a sudden, everyone's going to be believers because now they can finally see it for themselves. But you have to see it in your mind. You have to stay true to that belief and that vision. You need to remain confident, hold your head up high, and put one foot in front of the other with anything it is that you do until you win. Think about all the people that invented all of these amazing things that has helped shape the world today, and think about how differently it would be if these things were never invented because they didn't have the confidence and belief in themselves and what they did, right? We'll be living a completely different world. But now you, as a creator, you have the power as well to create what it is that you want. You have the power to create the world that you envision, because whether you believe this or not, because it's true, right? You have the power to create the world the way you see fit. You actually can make a difference in this world. You can actually push a button on this side and something is going to happen on the other side, right? Every action, there's always going to be an equal and opposite reaction. That's how this world works. So you do have a power to change this world. You do have the power to move it, right? You can actually move the needle. Most people think that they're just insignificant and irrelevant, that they can't do anything to affect the world. You are affecting the world with everything that you do. So if you have a vision for how you want things to be and how you see things being, you can actually push that forward and create and make it happen, right? Think about all the clothing brands. Imagine the people that invented Nike and Adidas didn't think that their business would ever be successful. Then we wouldn't have the sports where we wouldn't have, right? Like, we would be living a completely different reality in a completely different world had any of these people lacked confidence and belief in their ability. So I'm saying all this to remind you that this is confidence and belief is everything, because this is what helped propel people forward until they created the things that they envisioned, and until they've effectively won, until they created success and actually shaped the world the way it is. So even if you have an idea that sounds crazy, that sounds impossible, right? Don't go by logic like how other people go by, right? Even if something seems impossible, right? Ultimately, that's just someone's opinion. But even if something seems impossible for a lot of things, they were all deemed impossible until they actually happen. So don't don't doubt yourself. Always trust your vision. If you can envision something and see it in your mind, then that means you can hold it in your hand. That means you can experience it. That means you can have it. Because you were not given an imagination that can create anything so that you can just not create anything or just create nothing, right? Like that's not how it works. You were given this imagination for a reason so that you can actually create and bring things to the surface and bring things to the world and help shape the world the way you see fit. So be proud of your work, be proud of what you do, be proud of what you stand for, and constantly always work on yourself and improving it better. Have confidence, once again, have confidence and belief in yourself and in everything that you do, because that is what will ultimately propel you forward, right? You are the next big thing. You are the next big thing, the next best big thing, right? And you're here. You've arrived. So operate with that confidence and belief in yourself that everything you do is going to work out. That even if other people can't see it, you always have to trust it. Trust in what you do, because you are building something great. You are working through something great, and the world needs to see what it is that you're making. The world deserves to see it. The world deserves to experience it. And once again, we'll never know until it all happens. And then when everyone can see it and benefit from it, then they'll say, man, we really needed this. And this is with all of the great inventions, all of the great people that have existed, right? This is how it all works. So always trust yourself and trust what you do. And remember that confidence and belief in yourself and what you do is always going to be everything. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe as you're on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.